Hello, everyone. This is Molly from the Casually Molly podcast, and I just wanted to introduce you to my friends at the Natty Cat. This one is for you cool cats and kittens who can't get enough of wordplay and fur babies. The Natty Cat's natural soy candles feature inventive scent combinations in glass jars with clever kitties on the labels. Hand-purred with locally sourced natural soy wax, the Natty Cat's candles wood wicks create a cozy fireside crackling sound, perfect for curling up on the couch. Remember, for all of your candle and scented oil needs, please visit our friends at the Natty Cat either on Facebook or Instagram.
Have you ever wanted to get your shit together? Scrap it, look through the lens and capture it. But first world problems are getting you down. Disabled, salty, need a laugh to fix that frown. Well, you can do all those things and so much more. Just grab a seat in the chair or the floor. Sit back, relax, recline. Well, she drops another casual line. You're tuned into Casually Molly with Molly and Bergie.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Casually Molly podcast. I am your host, Molly Ambergy. Remember that you can always casually subscribe to our podcast. You can go on any streaming services, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. I will be casually available. But I am really excited about our guest today. She is a St. Louis native. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely.
I was about to say,
Born
yes,
and raised.
Born and
In
raised.
this wretched city.
Yes. See, I already love the personality that we've got going on. I'm also a fan of her music, so let's give it up for Bates. Yay. Bates, so again, I have never met you in person, so I really appreciate you coming and taking the time to sit down with me. And what we were talking about, this is showbiz, guys. We were just talking about this, and then Ed said we're ready to record. I actually saw you talk at a panel for Jazz St. Louis, which is located right here for those of you who are non-St. Louisans. This is a place called Jazz St. Louis right in the heart of Grand Center. And it was a musician named Terrence Blanchard. And then there was you. And then that's what I was saying. There was this other woman who was a violinist. Yes. And I thought it was very cool because I felt like all these different music genres were represented. And I loved that rap was one of those. And I thought what I really liked about you was that you, and maybe this is just like your personality, or maybe you like grew into this. You can tell me your whole life story in a second. Okay. Like, you are so sure of the music that you create and the story and the message that you want to come across that it's almost infectious. So I went to an open mic over at, I don't know if you're familiar with the Heavy Anchor at all? Okay.
I did. I've actually did one of their guest acts. I was one of their guest acts before.
Oh, get
This
out.
was probably the same year I got this sweater.
Oh.
Like,
Bates was just talking about earlier. She was like, oh my God, I wore the same sweater like 3 years ago today. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, I just wore this jumpsuit for $1. So we're just wearing these clothes. But that's so funny because, so I don't know if you know Chad Wallace.
yeah.
Yes. So he runs the open mic there. And Chad was like, hey, like, because I was kind of running a little bit behind. And he was like, where were you? And I was like, oh, I was watching this panel. And I said, have you heard of like Bates? And he's like, yeah, Bates is the shit. I was like, he's like, everybody knows who Bates is. He's like, what a small world. And I'm like, yeah, like she had this great talk. And the best part about it was everybody was really honed into what the discussion was. And you can get into that in a little bit. But somebody said something like, not necessarily negative, but just like something that was just like a little off key to the whole discussion.
Yeah, I think it was an older white lady, and she was like, basically, she kind of like was pretty. It seems like she didn't have a basis of what hip hop actually is,
right?
And she was like, "Oh, so you rappers are saying things like this in your music, type of thing." You know, I can't remember exactly what her question was.
No.
It was kind of like a doubtful question that that this was a movement.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it was like, I don't even remember what her question was or what your response was, but it's always funny. Like, even, And I guess that's why, like, you know, sometimes like language can just be through like physical and like, you know, just like looking. But I just remember how you handled it so well and just like answered the question, but at the same time were just like, I am very sure of my brand and who I am. So like, this is how this answer is going to be. And the whole room, like, since we're in like a very like, just like a different venue, a different demographic, like everybody was just very silent, but you could just tell that they were like, yes, good job, Bates, way to answer it. But it went super well. But let's talk a little bit about you, because I have a bunch of different stuff about you, but let's talk about your background, because a lot of stuff is from your website. So I feel like you're going to be like, oh, I wrote this, so it's okay. But let's talk about you being born and raised in St. Louis. How did we get to where we are today?
Man, it's been a lot of different things that I got to experience by living in St. Louis. It's been some of the greatest things, some of the worst things all at once. So St. Louis is super temperamental. It's one or the other with St. Louis. So like, my family is actually based like pretty much south side, actually right up the street from here, like by SLU and stuff. So this was before SLU had bought up all the property and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
My family actually still has everyone under my grandmother's bloodline still has their houses.
Wow.
Like the rest of the block can't say the same, but everyone still has their houses. My mother is one of 9 children. She's the oldest sister with 9 children, and 2 girls before me, and I have a brother from my father who was previously married before he got to my mother. So I am the baby of the siblings. That kind of like the experience between being like in like this super black, super hood, ice cream truck roll down the street every 5 seconds type of thing, jumping rope in the street, playing all these random hand games and stuff, like, to culture shock. My parents moved right before they got married. They got a house on Hartford and Gustine.
Okay. So
totally different neighborhood, right? Got this big pretty house. Like, it was a lot of racist white folks over there. It was pretty tough. For me as a kid. I didn't realize how tough it was for me as a kid until I became an adult and started reflecting on the things that were happening back then, like things that I did not get. You know, I don't want to get all the way into that because it was a whole bunch of different shit.
Okay.
But I will say, another culture shock was coming out of St. Louis public schools into public magnet, like McKinley Classical Junior Academy, Kenora Classical Junior Academy. All those kids is mean, man. Kids mean as hell. Like, I don't know what it is about smart kids, but smart kids are like way beyond the level of mean that not so goddamn smart kids are, right? Yeah. So it was like, whoa, I wasn't used to that. So I kind of dealt with a lot of like just trying to figure out who I am and figuring myself out, because I was constantly tested. It was like, you don't talk black enough, you don't act white enough, you're not white, we don't even know if your hair is too long, you live in this pretty house, you're not from the hood. Like, it was a whole bunch of different things, even though my family is like the hood, right? This is the only hood that really actually mattered on the south side, you know? Other than the dark side, you know, you have Vista. So I guess that was early age. I was heavily influenced by my parents and my sisters with music, and my brother. I can't forget about him because he's actually he's the reason why I rap today. But my parents collect old school music. Okay. I'm talking about everything that you can possibly think of. And they were the first people I ever seen with one of those like jukeboxes where you can program the music into it. Yeah. They had one of these big jukeboxes, like CD player jukeboxes. They still got them to this day. And all of my mother's siblings and other friends of the family and family members would come over with all the kids every weekend, and they called it the damn basement. It would be like a party every weekend, playing all this old school.
Oh my God, can I be invited? This sounds awesome.
I'm pretty sure, like, you never know who the fuck you find up in. Can I curse?
Like, I don't know if this is happening anymore, but if it is, this sounds pretty cool.
You never know who you find in that situation. Like, yeah, we would wake up on New Year's, there'd be people laying on our lawn. Like, this was crazy back then.
Wow.
I'm talking about crazy. My parents party, but they worked during the day, and on the weekend, it went down. Like, then
work hard, play hard.
My sisters were heavy hip hop heads. My oldest sister was one of those like 80s, 90s, 70s babies who liked that break dance,
Yes.
type music. And then my other sister, Camille, rest her soul, she was more into like Tupac, Twista, the more lyrical type of people. Then my brother came along and showed me the difference between what it was to be real and not. And that is what changed everything. It was like I realized that I could be more impactful with the things that I say. It's not just putting words together and making it sound good. Like, it has to come from a real place. And at that time, I was actually being bullied heavily at school. Like, this is in high school. I was like one of the only people like out the closet on accident.
Yeah.
I didn't out myself. Somebody else outed me.
Oh, wow.
So it was like hella uncomfortable freshman year. And I was like 2 grades up curriculum-wise, so I was in class with all seniors.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It was like, I don't know.
It was a pain in the ass. Like, they picked on me so bad. So, like, once my brother got a hold of me, he just knocked all of that fear out of me and all of
Yes.
that. And then writing with him is what really changed how I approach life in general. I just was way more confident coming out of that, you know. So then fast forward into like my rap career, like I started in a group. Fast forward from that, left from the group, went solo for 7 years. Like, we're kind of in and out of groups for 7 years. And then boom, I decided to drop a solo tape. And I dropped a solo mixtape called The Great Debates.
Yes.
And when I did that, that's when people started paying attention to who the hell is that? You know? But yeah, it was a transition. And then getting where I am now with FemFest and all this other stuff that I do, like, it's crazy to have that much influence. And it's all because you were getting bullied in high school. You had to do something to, like, balance that crazy shit.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Like, I think that's why I do comedy, because not that I was necessarily bullied, but I think what got me to at least just be liked by people was just having a personality. Because I was like, I wasn't the most attractive and I had braces, and it was just... There was a lot of things that, and I went to a private school, so there was a lot of smart kids like you were talking about. And like, for somebody like me who was in dance and stuff, you can be very sensitive to people's comments like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, but what if I'm funny? Like, if I'm funny in class, people are going to love me.
It actually worked out. That's how I managed to get friends at the senior year, because I was so funny. And I was also able to play the smart card, because they weren't able to pass their classes, and I was like doing people's homework.
Oh my God.
So it was like, I'm the reason why a lot of you motherfuckers graduated, just so you know.
Bates has spoken. Okay. She put some words together. She put some grades together.
I did, man. It's some people that walked across the stage knowing that they wouldn't go make it if I didn't do their last homework. Like, they had, so it was definitely a transition of me trying to find myself. So throughout that, I was class clown senior year. The single superlatives, I was class clown.
Look at you. There you go.
I was in theater too. I did speech and debate.
Shut up.
I played basketball all 4 years. I was in choir all 4 years.
So like, what do you not do? What's going on here?
I got some words for that. It's a few things I just don't do, but
You've got a resume. That's why I just love. But I mean, not to interrupt you, but since you do have like such a resume of different interests that you had, why? So you said your brother is very influential and you rapping and being yourself, but why rap? Like, what drew that out of all the interests you had? What drew you to being a rapper?
I think really because it changed how I view myself. I saw myself a little bit more powerful. I was more powerful for the first time through hip hop. People actually listened to what I had to say and liked that I had put something together that I did. Like, I was in choir for all those years, of course, and I had been on stage for many different things. I was in musicals and all that stuff. None of that stuff resonated with me, even though I was like super active. I'm talking about I was very active in school. I was always in somebody's club, on somebody's field trip. I mean, that's how you get to field trips. Get out of class, you get into a whole bunch of different stuff, and then you can go on field trips. So rap ended up being the way that how I bossed up on the world. Is how I changed my own perception of myself through music. And then down the line, it became a more politically charged type of energy. And then I realized I can use rap for whatever I want to do. Like, if I want to be funny, I can do it in rap. If I want to be sweet, I can do it in rap. If I want to be depressed and sad and I got to get out of that, I can put that in the rap. If I want to if I'm angry, I can put that in the rap. I can say the wildest things, like comedians can say things. You can say it in rap because it's excused because people don't think that's your actual reality, And so let's just say I say a really harsh line. People will be like, ooh, that's dope. But they don't know that somebody really pissed me off, you know what I'm saying? So it's a way to, like, it's completely an escape. And I honestly haven't been writing as much as I used to. But now that, like, time has been freeing up more, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Like, because now it's getting more organized. I'm getting back to my structure because COVID threw it all the way off. But
oh, yeah. Well, I feel like that's the one. Well, we'll actually talk about that too. Like, so COVID has been kind of a thing that's thrown off a lot of artists, like both, like, you know, we were talking about like theater, even in comedy, it's been kind of a way. What has it been like with the rap industry? What has been going on there?
Man, you can all the way down from the people who were making millions and millions of dollars, all the way down to people who aren't getting paid for shows or getting booked, hardly ever getting booked. All of us have taken a hit. I can't even think, even a Beyonce is taking a hit, you know? And majority of our revenue comes from being on stage. So, and merchandise, and especially an independent artist, it's merchandise, stage, website. It's like your social media influence. Those things are the most important. So, if we can't get on stage, and getting on stage is the primary place where you sell your merchandise.
Yeah.
Then where's the money coming from? Because we're not getting it in streams.
Yeah.
0.00074 cents per stream, or 0.074 on the highest is 0.08 or something like that.
Yeah.
That you're getting per stream, meaning that 800 people would have to play your stuff before you get $1.
Yeah.
And that's basically the issue that we have been balancing out by being on stage. So, like, you saw me perform, you see me talking to people. Like, these are opportunities that we're not getting right now because everybody's social distancing, and it's been really hard for this transition for a lot of people, especially me. Like, when COVID hit, like, I bartend by day.
Yeah.
So when COVID hit, I was working at the new place, Takashima Records, and I was working at the Hilton, right? And I had just started Takashima Records and was planning on leaving the Hilton and going to Takashima. But the whole reason why I was doing that was because I was working with a lot of different venues all at once. So I was working with Cherokee, a lot of venues on Cherokee Street. I was working with the venues in the Grove.
Yeah.
So all of those mixed together, I was planning on building like this coalition of where it's not this divide anymore.
Right.
To provide more opportunities for Black artists, right? And Black LGBT artists,
Yeah.
right? But what ended up happening was the world shuts down. So when the world shuts down, not only did all of that end, because I lost both jobs in like 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I ended up all the Film Fest events.
Yeah.
All of my own live shows. And I write for this company called The Cheer Voice, where we write the vocals that go on the cheers. All of that ended because you can't go in the studio and record anything. So all of that ended all at once. So it was like, whoa. But at the same time, it gave me like a mental break that I absolutely needed, because I was so busy all the time. Like, I had no time to do anything else I wanted to do. So yeah, it definitely it's been a transition.
Yeah.
But as far as hip hop goes, we have taken a big blow because we a lot of our money comes directly from the stage.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I feel like, especially in the entertainment industry, that's probably been the hardest part. Like, I did a few outdoor shows for comedy and stuff.
Right.
Some clubs are open, and we've been taking COVID precautions for that, like here in the Midwest. But I definitely, especially for my friends who are on the East Coast and the West Coast, it's just kind of been, kind of a hit or miss situation. Like, it's weird to see people doing shows on rooftops.
Real talk.
Yeah, it's a different transition. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are really making the most of it. But money-wise, it is hard when you have an income. Because I that's what I'm kind of telling you. I worked at a hotel, and then it got shut down in March, just specifically because who's traveling right now.
Right.
So it was like crazy because you used to have people going in and out, and then it's just a dead zone. Like, it was so quiet. It's like kind of like weirder people come out of the woodwork.
Right. like that is literally how it is when you step on stage and it's like 8 people in the crowd and they're all spaced out, especially hip hop. It goes off a reaction.
Right.
It's a lot of call and response.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So if I can't it's so awkward to stand on the stage and it's like, 6 people in the crowd, and they're all spaced out. And it's like you can't even see them because the light's blinding you. Nobody can confront the stage. It's hella awkward, but you know, it's one of the things I can check on my bucket list. Like I perform for a crowd intentionally for very few people.
Yes.
I did that on purpose.
Yes. I mean, and that sometimes happens. Like in comedy, you may not always have. I'm just like, you know, sometimes there isn't always an audience. But, you know, it's just a weird, I hate to be like, what weird times? Because everybody says that. So I'm just like, but it is just so strange. So that's why I was like, I got to ask Bates about that. Just because you're right. Like doing hip hop and watching rap, like I've been to a few concerts and it's crazy because it's all about reaction. And it's a way that, like, even seeing Nelly perform, one of my all-time favorite concerts, specifically because the way he interacted with the audience, the way he had like his people in the back, like, and so it's crazy to think about a rap concert and having like 8 people there, and you're like, hey,
everybody say hey, and like 3 people were like, hey. Through their mask.
That's the other thing. Like, you can't see anybody. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is like, was there a certain venue where that happened and you're like, here I am?
I did. Excuse me.
You're fine. We got some water. We're good.
I did. I did like an open mic.
Yeah.
I was a headline at an open mic.
Yeah.
Like that. This was a couple months ago. And it was already a weird setting because it's majority poetry.
Yeah.
It's poetry based.
Oh, yes.
And that's how it got its roots. So I knew what kind of people would be in the crowd and what kind of message what I would say. I'm not finna do the trap music. I'm getting ready to do something that has a message behind it so it could resonate. Okay, so here, actually that was the better one of the two. That was actually like the reaction from this maybe 15 people spaced out far was enough for me to be like, you still got it. Even when you can't move out of this box. Like, I had to stand in this little thing. Like, it was weird because it was a live filming. So I couldn't go past, like, the back of this chair. And I had to just rap here, which was already awkward, right? So all of this is happening. And it's a lot of hand motions. And you got to express yourself with your face. And it was crazy. But it was a great performance. I got to see the footage of that. And it was like, oh, that's dope. But the other one was actually Workfest. Now, this is a live production, and it's at the Dark Room. Well,
yes, right up here at the Grandel.
It was at the Grandel. So we're at the Grandel. Now, mind you, I would love to have played at the Grandel any time of my life, right? But when I get to play at the Grandel, it's 8 people allowed to be in the building. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm on stage, and, like, the lights are blinding. You can't even see anybody. You can imagine that people in the crowd because you can't see that nobody's there. Nobody's in the crowd.
Okay.
So I start my piece. I do my piece. I get my issue off, and it was like the people are like woo woo, and that's all you get. It was so
just
crazy.
The way you say it is just hilarious. It's like woo woo. Yes.
That's the person closer and the person behind. Woo woo.
But that's kind of how, like, if it makes you feel any better. Now, I hosted an open mic at the Funny Bone on Sunday, and it went last Sunday, and it went really well. But there are times where I've been, not just to the Funny Bone, but there's just been like when open mics first started coming back and you're like,
right.
I'm a little rusty. I'm going to start doing some material. And you're doing it for like 2 people. But sometimes, like, because it's only 2 people, they're almost embarrassed to react a little bit.
Right.
So it's the same feeling. Like, you just hear like,
right.
Or they're
like,
just smiling at you.
I need y'all to say something.
Please just interact with me, like anything. I don't know. So trust me, and I feel like that's like even what's interesting even too, like some theater companies I saw during the summer were doing like shows and trucks of cars and stuff like, or, you know, like the bed of the truck. And I don't know, people are trying to make it work, but it's just like what you said, you get a dream venue like the Grandel.
8 whole people. I was like, yeah. And they were all the artists that were booked and the crew. It was no spectators.
God.
It was only people who were getting ready to record for the live stream.
Oh my God.
It was like, are y'all kidding me? I got on the stage and was like, wow.
That is the best thing. It's so true. I'm so glad you were honest about that because there's so many performers right now who feel the same way. So you're not alone.
I'm probably one of the very few that actually got a chance to perform. You know, I have a band, so I have a band based in the Strangers. Okay, so they are, man, especially during the heights of the pandemic, I'm not. And my drummer was having surgery on his damn ankle, so he got lucky. You got to do surgery while it's a pandemic and nobody can go anywhere. Man, God must really not want you to miss your money because you clearly had the perfect timing. But my bassist, she's already compromised, so she didn't want to rehearse, doesn't want to do anything. So I'm actually got a Zoom meeting with them tomorrow to just try to pull them back. Please don't leave me.
Hi, we're still here.
Please don't leave me. I love you guys. Love you all.
Oh my gosh. That is seriously, there was a lot of relatable moments in that whole story.
It's my reality.
Oh my gosh. Well, trust me, especially in the entertainment industry, that's the reality of things right now.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to talk about some of your accomplishments too. We'll talk about pre-pandemic.
Okay.
We'll go back to 2015. You were awarded the Best Female Hip Hop Artist in the St. Louis Underground Awards.
Yes.
That's kind of cool. Tell us about that.
That award. Actually, I just saw the pictures of that today because the girl who presented me that award, it's her birthday today.
Oh,
and
happy birthday.
Daisha. She's actually, Energy is her stage name, and she's actually the person.
Wait, what's her last name?
Daisha Polk.
Yes,
yeah.
We're newly friends on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay,
and
yes.
Today's her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
She's actually the person that throws the open mic.
Word up, open mic. Yes. I've been wanting to do her mic. I friended her on Facebook because I run the St. Louis Independent, comedy website.
Nice.
And so I post all her stuff and I'm like, I just need to meet you. When is this? So one Tuesday, maybe tomorrow. I'll go on over.
Yeah, go. Tomorrow's she's actually throwing her birthday celebration at Word Up.
Oh,
so tomorrow will be a good day to swing by.
How cool.
I would totally be there if I didn't have to do regular people stuff.
Oh, normal things.
But absolutely.
But not to interrupt. I just was like, wait a minute. Welcome to St. Louis. Just what a small world. But
right.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, that was I had the year before the first one I got when I got it in 2015, that was after I released The Great Debates.
Yes.
And I was working on an album at the time when I was awarded that, and it was like, what? I actually won it because the year I had been nominated for multiple years and did not win.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, though, after I won it, I said, okay. I looked at their I was into my FemFest stuff. I was running a company called FemC Nation with 4 other female artists, right? And I looked at the nominations for the year I just won, and there were no women nominated in any other category except female artists.
Wow.
No best album, no best video, no artist of the year. So that made me think, what do I need to do to make sure I'm nominated? So the following year, I ended up winning. I thought I got nominated in 5 categories. But after asking some questions and figuring out what I need to do, I had to have a project out, I had to have videos out, I had to have all this stuff done in order for you to be nominated for certain categories.
Oh, yeah.
So once I got all that done, I applied pressure, and I was the first woman to ever win Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Video of the Year. First one ever.
What? That's amazing, though.
And came back and kicked their ass the following year.
Yes.
Album of the Year, and then I got Best Female Artist. In the following year, they didn't have a Slumfest Awards, but I bowed out at 7 awards, which last year I got Artist of the Year again.
Oh
so
my
I
God.
bowed out after that. I got 7.
I mean, here is the thing, and I don't even you're grinding, but you really are. Even that's how I knew about you was, again, I saw you at that talk, and then I started looking up your music, and I was like, oh, I'm really familiar with this. And then I had, before we even started doing filming, Precious J, who I told you is a comedian friend of mine.
Yeah.
I had her on, and this was, again, last year. So this is when I'm sure you guys were all planning everything. She's like, yeah, I'm partnering up with Bates and then Miss Tigga as well. Mm-hmm. And you guys were doing FemFest and all. So I was like, oh my God, well, I'll just have you all on when this is all. And then obviously all of this stuff happened.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll just have everybody on individually and see how this all goes.
Yeah.
But what I said, I love your music just because, I mean, it's got some great rhythm to it as well, which I know sounds like a very
White
weird
girl
thing,
thing to say.
white girl thing to say. That's
saw your
right, like,
W.
literally, it's got some great rhythm.
Weird thing to say.
It was like a very like, let's just be honest.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I was about to say, oh, I feel like you have a good sense of humor too. So you get like where I'm coming from. But I was like, let me just make sure I'm like polite and I'm not being weird. But I'm glad that you got where I was coming from.
Absolutely.
So, like, I was just, making it.
It was
casual.
predictive text. Like if I was typing it in my phone, it would have definitely came up
that's what
that way.
I was just like, oh my God, she's going to be like, okay, Molly. But
named Molly. Like, just so happens her name is Molly.
I know. Also, well, here's the thing. So my name is Molly, right? But it was named after meaning me. I was named after my grandmother, whose name is Amalia, because it's Italian. So I'm like, why didn't I get like the cool name? And my mom's like, well, Molly was a nickname and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, well, wow, now I feel really cool and interesting. Cool. But back to Bates, though. Thank you. You also won Album of the Year, Slumfest. But let's talk about the For Colored Folk, just because the Riverfront Times did a really great quote on it. So if you don't mind me reading it, I just wanted to talk about it.
Riverfront Times.
The Riverfront Times, for those, again, who are not from St. Louis, because we do have some listeners outside of there, they are a local news, like not station, but they still do a lot of reports, things like that here. And what I loved was the quote, because they said, For Colored Folk is a navigation through spiritual, social, and political minefields, a crossroad of intersectional issues that she meaning Bates, attacks head on while aiming straight for the gut, which is always how I feel about your music. Ugh. Throughout its 15 cuts, Bates never meets the audience halfway. Not a single track comes sugar-coated, and she splits with a brash vibe that respects the time and intelligence of her peers and fans alike.
That was a
great
crazy quote.
Yes.
Like, wow, they said that about me.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I was like, I even like wrote it because I'm old school. I wrote it down because I was like, I can ask you all about your album and you talk about it obviously as well. But how do you feel that something like a big news, arena like the Riverfront Times kind of captured your work like that?
That was literally exactly what I felt like I was doing with the album. After he said it, after he wrote it and I read it, I was like, that is what I was trying to do. You made me realize that's what I was trying to do.
Yes.
Like, I'm like unrepentant and direct, and I try to balance that with technique. So all of those things like mixed together, especially during the times when I wrote it, because that was during after Mike Brown was murdered and the protests and the riots and everything had happened. And For Colored Folk was my response based on my history of dealing with racial issues, along with what those times meant spoke to me, how they spoke to me. So when he said that, I was like, Jesus, like it actually. That's the album that won Album of the Year.
Yes.
So that was like, wow, I felt like I finally did something that was impactful. Like the year before I did the Great Debates, now mind you, I was fresh out of college, so I was still writing in, like I wrote for the school newspaper, and I was in like, what was it? Your English lit honors. So I'm like writing like hell. So I was still in the mindset of writing subject based.
Yes.
So I took that knowledge and applied it to a subject based album, and just kept it funky the whole time. Like I addressed a lot of different things in that project, and it's not all about like black folks, but it is. The name of the album is For Colored Folk because it's a message that is meant to move you in some sort of way if you come from my demographic.
Right. I love that. This is just, I don't know, you're just great. But speaking of great things, I was about to say, I was trying to think of like a great Riverfront Times quote that I could say back to what you just said, but I'm just going to say that you're awesome, which I think that everybody's going to agree when they listen to this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to actually segue for a minute. You have a new single coming out, or do you want to talk about that? Or that it's out, but you're pushing it.
Right. Right. Either way, it's out today. If you haven't heard it before, it's new. So it's super new right now, especially since it came out during COVID. Yeah. So it's super new to a lot of people. I have not performed it yet.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's City of Demons. Last year, 2019, I went through a lot of loss in a lot of different ways. So, like, I was in a 4-year relationship that didn't work out. Left that situation. I had friends, lots of my friends died. Very close friends of mine, like maybe about a good 7 or 8 of them, all for different reasons, but most of them were killed. Some of them OD'd, you know.
I'm sorry.
A lot of people who like made it possible for me to do the things that I was doing, you know, when I first started, passed away. I moved from where I was living to back into the city, so that was a total change. A lot of pieces of me had to die in order for me to get to where I'm at now. So the name of the album that this song is on is called My Homies Is Dying. And this song, City of Demons, is pretty much my reflection on what a lot of news. This is actually one of the few songs on the album that's relating to news clips and things that's going on with me at the time, like things I saw happen to me, things that I watched happen to my homies. Like, I'm putting all that into one song, and it's not as sad as it sounds.
Yeah. When
you hear it, you know, but I was intentionally writing like that. I had my Stevie Wonder on, writing something that's really depressing and making it sound happy. Like, that's what Stevie does a lot of.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, City of Demons is my breakout single produced by Duke Rellington.
Nice. Thank you for explaining it, and we're actually going to hear it. So here is City of Demons.
Yeah. My homies is dying, my clock is a one in my mind, 1,000 is there all the time. My family straight love me, don't want nothing from me, ain't trying to corrupt me, just want me to shine. My enemies hate me, they hate on my greatness, they can't sabotage it, can't mess with my grind. My city a demon, the people the reason I'm still in the trap and it's never gonna die. They call me a legend, report to the reverend to teach me to hate who I am. They swear to God I'm the devil because I'm a rebel, I rebel forever in hell. So many judges want another come of it, it's dead at the moment it's made. Too many days with no sign of a savior, but you gotta die to find out who was saved. The greatest depression, we begging for blessings, we grow to accept it, we dodging the pain. I can change, but my city's ways won't provide a way. Start to fade, dreams just start to fade, like I can't escape. I just say what y'all scared to feel and what I'm scared to say. If y'all don't accept it, I change to a weapon, so many get sick on their way. You gotta buy first, so somebody's on a mission to leave with your shit on display. My city's so reckless and empty to check, politicians neglect us, they beasts and they snakes. And visions so deep that your mama won't sleep, cause they viewing your body and shoot up your way. My homies is dying, my clock is a one in my mind, 1,000 is there all the time. My family straight love me, don't want nothing from me, ain't trying to corrupt me, just want me to shine. My enemies hate me, they hate on my greatness, they can't sabotage it, can't mess with my grind. My city a demon, the people the reason I'm still in the trap and it's never gonna die. My homies is dying, my clock is a one in my mind, 1,000 is there all the time. My family straight love me, don't want nothing from me, ain't trying to corrupt me, just want me to shine. My enemies hate me, they hate on my greatness, they can't sabotage it, can't mess with my grind. My city a demon, the people the reason I'm still in the trap and it's never gonna die. I took a trip just to clear some shit and tap into my gift with the woman I love. Went through a step, feeling down for a bit while the people above me press me in the mud. Watching the news and just watching the news, cause you know all the soldiers that died in the field. Checking to see if it's one of your homies, checking to see if it's one of your kids. Say mental health is a thing in the city, the trauma so deep to survive, you keep moving to all the corruption, turn into a suction. You feeling the music, the shit like a movie. They picking us off, even good niggas dying, they killing the fighters, are we even human? If you ain't McCullough with millions of dollars, if it's in your power, don't move to St. Louis. We organizing, we having these meetings, we feeding the kids and they say these solutions. We keep on marching and preaching by hope, but it's gonna be years where we see some improvement. The leadership white and they writing the laws, the same legislation they calling inclusive. So I keep my head above water, and if I have a daughter, I pray she don't have to go through it. My homies is dying, my clock is a one in my mind, 1,000 is there all the time. My family straight love me, don't want nothing from me, ain't trying to corrupt me, just want me to shine. My enemies hate me, they hate on my greatness, they can't sabotage it, can't mess with my grind. My city a demon, the people the reason I'm still in the trap and it's never gonna die. My homies is dying, my clock is a one in my mind, 1,000 is there all the time. My family straight love me, don't want nothing from me, ain't trying to corrupt me, just want me to shine. My enemies hate me, they hate on my greatness, they can't sabotage it, can't mess with my grind. My city a demon, the people the reason I'm still in the trap and it's never gonna die. Dying, my clock is a one in my mind, 1,000 is there all the time. My family straight love me, don't want nothing from me, ain't trying to corrupt me, just want me to shine. My enemies hate me, they hate on my greatness, they can't sabotage it, can't mess with my grind. My city a demon, the people the reason I'm still in the trap and it's never gonna die.
All right, and we're back.
Well,
I know, right? Welcome to Showbiz. Again, you just heard City of Demons for those of you who are either watching it or listening to the episode on audio. Actually, this is a good question. Is there a certain song work that you've produced that's your favorite out of the work that you've produced, or does it just kind of I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'll look back at my old jokes, right? And I'm like, oh, this just reflects a time of when I was the certain time in my life, and when I was doing it, it may not be like my favorite joke, but just like something that just reflects that time of when I learned something. I feel like in comedy, at least, like you keep growing and changing and whatnot. But is it the same for rap? Like, is there just something that's timeless for you, or do you feel like you're always changing, always growing in it?
It's kind of both. I'm always changing, I'm always growing. But I try to write timelessly. Mm-hmm. I try to write where what I'm saying resonates forever. I was playing for Color Folk, so that album came out in 2015, 2016. Mm-hmm. For a girl who's probably maybe 5 or 6 years younger than me, and she's new to the music scene. And when I played her the album, she was like, "What? You need to come back out with this right now. Like, this is what?" And she was like super excited, and made me think like, damn, like this is my breakout album, you know. And for y'all to like be that excited that young,
yeah,
made me be like, yeah, I'm doing something right. So I try to do that, and I try to keep, but part of the reason why it's timeless is because of my emotional attachment to the music. I make sure that I'm writing from a place where people are going to feel like that forever. These issues are going to resonate forever, you know. So it's not necessarily like one or the other for me. I think that my favorites, I think a lot of the stuff for Color Folk are my favorite joints. Depending on my mood, I don't know. It all depends on my mood. Like sometimes I listen to my stuff if I want to hear like some lyrical crazy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Damn, I fucking killed that, you know? And then on the other hand, it's like if I want to hear something that makes you want to act, makes you want to get up and do something about your circumstances. And then so I play that type of stuff. Or then I have songs where I want to feel. I actually want to feel. Mm-hmm. So, and the reason why I play those because when I wrote it, I was feeling. Mm-hmm. Like Black Bodies on For Color Folk. Black Bodies is one of those joints that no matter how long it takes for me to, no matter how big of a gap in time, I'm going to always listen to that song and be like, Jesus, like, that's some heavy shit, you know? Mm-hmm. And I also have this song on Strange Woman, which was my sophomore album, called Open Apology to a Little Girl. Mm-hmm. It's about, and this was before Me Too movement, it's about an experience that I had with molestation, and then it was like traveling through family members, and I didn't know what was happening, and my reaction to that was, hey, this is how I'm going to break my silence, is through this song. And when I did it, it's like one of those songs I still can't listen to without being like people will listen to the whole album, get to that song and be like, can you go to the next one? Mm-hmm. Because they don't want to feel that way at the time, you know? Right. But, I mean, I have my joints that really, like blow people's minds. Like, I think one of my favorite songs of mine is Suge Knight. It's got me, Kenny Knox, and T-Dub-O on it. And the three of us, like, and Courtney Nicole, and the four of us, like, killed that song. And, like, lyrically, like, the video, everything's put together so well. But, like, I don't know. I have a lot of my own personal favorites of mine. Some of the stuff a lot of people don't even pay much of attention to compared to other songs, you know? Right. But I like the ones that mean something to me for a specific reason.
Absolutely. And that's what and now that I'm like sitting actually down with you, because you can always like watch somebody perform and talk, but that's what I love about podcasting and interviewing people. It's just because like I'm learning that there's all these stories and connections behind your work. And again, I love that you're so unapologetic about, like, that's why I like this Riverfront Times quote, because they couldn't have said it better. Like, nothing is sugar-coated. And I think that even though my terminology lacks, I love your honesty about things, just because comedy and theater are usually very, very honest. What I'll ask you too is, you know, from what I've heard, and you can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, in the rap and like hip hop industry, people say that it is male dominated. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, on every level. Mm-hmm. Every level, from the people who make the decisions to the people who who are the burden, that have to bear the burden of the decisions, and to the imagery, to the content that you get. And that is why I had to take that step up and do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why. Like, so I came up, like I was saying, we started a company called FemC Nation, which was really like a collective of women, like putting opportunities in place for women in order for them to have an even playing field with men in the industry. And it's funny because it's this artist from here named Skittles.
Okay.
And she and I were reading a Riverfront Times article about the top 10 rappers in St. Louis, and there was not one girl on the list. And that's what sparked me and her got to talking about it and started bringing in other people. And we all the female rappers, ended up being like 50 of us on this post.
What?
So I went and made a chat. So I went and made a
Yeah.
chat, and it's like 50 female artists in the chat. Then I put together a montage of like female rappers and like what we had to say about it. It never got released, but it was like 21 of us on that song.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I said I really wanted to do. I was watching Slum Fest and I was looking at all these different fests and stuff, and I was like, you know what? How about I could just do a fest just for women, like just us, like female rappers, singers, dancers, poets, all the vendors are women, the hosts are women, the DJs are women. Only we need as men is the venue owners and the doormen, like, and security, right?
Yeah, all the things.
And so FemFest it was actually scheduled for May 9th this past year, but COVID.
Yeah, of course.
And that was the first one that was going to be outdoors at a female-ran venue.
Yeah.
It was getting ready to be smoking, but come back next year. But we've always had it in the winter, so this was my first time doing it in the warmer months.
Yes.
And it was like a beautiful day. And instead of, it being on like any random Saturday, it was the day before Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. So I had it planned to the T, man. I had it planned to the T. But Precious J is she's one of the official FemFest hosts.
Yes.
And she also does a lot of other FemFest events. Like I do Living Singles, we do brunches, we do.
She was talking a little bit about that on her episode as well. So I kind of am familiar with, but you're also kind of enlightening me on things that I obviously didn't know. So.
Yeah, she still gets a little. She gets a little nervous now, but she used to be really nervous then. I let her kill that shit. I don't worry stuff. Like I would just hand her the mic.
Yeah.
She'd just go. You know. Sometimes it just takes somebody to tell you that you got it. You could just do it. Just do it. Doesn't matter what nobody thinks. Just do it. Like, women tend to be very self-conscious about beauty and so many other things. So
right. Mm-hmm.
We, just get up there and do your thing, man. Don't worry about what nobody got to say about it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if you leave off this stage and you feel like you shouldn't, maybe you shouldn't. But I encourage everybody to keep pushing. Like, don't let this industry tear you down. That's part of the reason why I'm marketing myself like I do in the particular way that I do, so that I am able to consistently be competitive amongst for my demographic. Because what I see a lot of women doing that right now we're facing this backlash tremendously, but it's really unwarranted, is like with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, and we got Mulatto out now, we got City Girls, like they're sexually explicit lyrics, which it's not brand new. This has been happening forever, on both sides, for men and women, especially men, Now the question is, where are the other female rappers? Why aren't they doing anything? Why don't we hear about this type of stuff in the music? Why don't we hear about that type of stuff in the music? And the thing is that we've been writing this type of stuff in the music. Mm-hmm. It's just that these people are not playing the music. The people at the top don't want to put it on the shelves. The people at the bottom don't want to write it because they're not getting played. Like, then you got the in-between guys like the managers and the producers and the CEOs of these independent record labels, and they literally turn these women into sex objects without any publicity, before they even get a deal. So that's been something that has been one of the largest obstacles for me as an artist. I could say that how I approached that was being more in my niche, right? Making sure that I say what I want to say, no matter what. Yeah. And that's how I got my respect. I don't write for anybody but what I want to write for. Like, if I want to write a song to make white people dance and do the damn jig, then that's what the hell I'm gonna write. You know, I don't write for anybody, and that's why I've been successful and have longevity, because like, you can't put me in a box. Right now, they're trying to put all the female rappers in a box, and they've been doing this for years. We had a drought already. We had Nicki Minaj for like 7 or 8 years with no other female rapper out other than Missy Elliott, but then she pop in and pop out when she wants to. She a GOAT, right? But when she came back in, when Nicki Minaj, when Cardi B and Young M.A. like came back in, Young M.A. Young M.A. was the product of, she's a stud female rapper, and she rapped just like the guys. She say the same thing about women that they say about women. So she was no different, but she had the shock factor because she had some sexually explicit lyrics, and a couple of times, like throughout the song, there were certain things that she would say that would be like, oh my God, it's a lesbian saying that, you know, like that type of thing. And all of this has been great for female hip hop artists, but it's also been horrible for female hip hop artists because we still have to fight just to have a voice, and it's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, no. And I like just you even saying that there were like 50 other artists that joined on that one chat.
FemFest is 54 acts.
Yeah.
FemFest is 54 acts. The last year was 54 acts. The year before that it was 50. The year before that it was 40. The year before that it was 30. The year before that it was 15. Let's go to show you that how many female artists there actually is just in the St. Louis region.
Yeah.
Like we talking Chicago, St. Louis, but mostly St. Louis. Just in St. Louis alone, this little bitty town, 54 female artists can get on stage.
Exactly. That's what blows my mind, that you were able to like bring these people together. Like, it just like I you know, and it's amazing with social media how you can do that, because I feel that way, you know, even with female comedians, especially, like, I mean, we all consider ourselves comedians, but there is some kind of like, and I guess you can like feel that too, like with women in unity, like being able to kind of like talk to another woman who's like done comedy before, who knows the business. I guess like what I'll ask you is, you know, normally I'm like, oh, what advice would you give to somebody who's, you know, a girl or a woman or whoever, just like in the industry? And you were kind of touching on that, but if there was somebody who was kind of like in your shoes and they're like, oh, you know, maybe I'm going to start, you know, rapping. I've been like kind of getting my my musicality together. I've been writing. What advice would you give to them on that?
On both levels, like, so you have to think about branding, image, marketing, music. So those particular things, it's really about what you want out the game. Like, if you want to be one of those types, I would call it the stereotype. I'm not trying to sound harsh, but the stereotype of the female rapper, because dudes say, oh, well, female rappers only rap about sex and money and taking them dude for his money and whoop-de-whoop. If you want to rap about, if you want to be that person, I'm for you. But the thing is that my problem would be is that there's not enough representation of everything like it is with men. That's the difference. It's not that you should not be able to say these things. You're more than welcome to say what the hell you want to. Hell, they are. But the situation is that we don't have any backing, making sure that we are all represented in some form or fashion. Just like they can have a Kendrick Lamar, a J. Cole, and they also have like a 2 Chainz, and they also have like a Roddy Ricch or somebody a Future that only talk about getting high all the time, you know. We have no in between. All we have is trap queens, is what I like to call them. Now, if that's the route you want to take, get your branding up, keep your image right, get your social media game up. You better be on Instagram taking pictures and pictures and pictures and selling your sex, because that's what they trying to buy. They not trying to listen to your music for real. You build up your following based off of how you look. That's not really my thing. If you're trying to go the middle ground, where maybe you want to sell some sex, but you want to send some messages too. That reminds me of No Name. You know, that reminds me of Lake Kelly, right? More so No Name than Lake Kelly, because Lake Kelly reminds me more of a Missy Elliott type. She has her gimmicks, but she has like fun, upbeat music that attracts a lot of different people. So that's her marketing lane. She markets to people who like fun music. So when I opened up for her, it was like hella white people in the crowd, and like hella like I didn't see any black women for real in the crowd. You know, I saw a few black men, a few black women, but it was mostly like white folks that was hip to her. You know what I'm saying? But she was like Missy Elliott, like she cold though. And she don't talk about white people shit. She's just fun. And
Yeah,
like,
she is really fun.
sometimes my community's thinking stops them from really tapping into our gems, you know? So, like a No Name, though, who says keeps it real, still has her, you know, and Breezy. They still have their image. They still have that gutterness about them, but they can talk about sex if they want to. They can talk about real shit if they want to. Like, I like that type of rapper. That's more so where I'm at with it. But then you also have people like Rhapsody, who just was nominated for, what was it, Grammy against Cardi B. She lost to Cardi B. To me, she should have, based on what I see the world is wanting right now. Not because Cardi had an album all about sex, because it wasn't all about sex. But because Rhapsody isn't as relatable, because she's not as marketable. She doesn't look like she would need to look to be able to get that message across. And plus her production is so East Coast boom bap that's the reason why a lot of that, you can't just jig to it in the club. You have to sit down and listen to Rhapsody. So, but she has, when she came here, packed house. So that just goes to show you that there's a lane for all of us. It's about how you market yourself.
Right.
All of us. Like, I probably had one of the best selling hip hop shows at Pops last year, right? And that's because I marketed it towards the people that I know like this type of thing. And I stick with my niche, and at the same time, I go grab other people in the crowd that didn't know that I did all of this different stuff, you know. So
like me,
all this different type of stuff. So I rock with like I got this song called the Dada song, and it's hella melodic, da 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 da. That's all I say in the hood, da da da. And when I perform it, it's hella fun and goofy, right? But those are the songs that make white folks comfortable in the crowd, right? Because they can sing along, sometimes on beat, sometimes off beat. You know what I'm saying? Never know. But they can sing along and not worry about, like, first, the political side of feeling, like, shamed for, like, being white. And then also not completely unrelated to street shit. Just not understanding where trap music is coming from and why would I even be writing about this type of thing, right? But I write all of this music. But I write those types of songs so that I can market myself to that demographic. And that's what I wish more women would be doing, is focusing more on the marketing aspect of it.
Oh my gosh. You have like hit so many points, because I am all about marketing, obviously marketing this podcast, marketing my comedy. And it's like, it is like such a growing thing to like understand your image and how you want that represented towards people, especially when you're working different rooms and different venues. Cause I've performed everywhere. I've performed for like every demographic you could possibly imagine. And you're totally right. It's all about like writing. And sometimes it is kind of cool though, when you see your work. Cause like I said, even for me, what I love about you is you've got great musicality, but you don't sugarcoat anything. And that's what I kind of love, is that I'm like, sure, like this is like I said earlier, great rhythm, but at the same time, like, see, call back, comedian. But at the same time, like, you're being so real, and that's what I like respect out of people more. Like, I feel like I relate to people who are, again, like, I know I've been saying this the whole episode, but I really respect people who are like sending a message of who they are and the honesty that comes behind it. And then also being in theater, I always appreciate storytelling. So when you have a story behind what you're talking about in your music, for me personally, that always means more to me. Like, there are people who are like, oh, I don't even know what it's saying, and I just love this rhythm. But at the same time, like, what I think makes you so successful as an artist is that all the things that you just stated, like, you're able to combine everything and make it so relatable to everybody. So I was like, what's your secret? Just how do you do that? I know that's probably rhetorical, and you're like, that's just who I am, and like, I
guess it's all those intersections in my life.
Yes.
Just like that made it like that. You know?
Absolutely.
It kind of changed. I didn't just hang around one set of people. Like one group of people. I've been around a lot of different types of people, and it's like, what can I write to make them like be like, that's dope? Yeah. Like, and it's always like, sometimes it comes right in. Usually when people like apply pressure, it's like, that's when I got the best one for them. Like, I got one for you. But I'm a writer first and foremost. Like, I've been writing all my life, so that's what my gift is, and I'm able to orate that through hip hop. But honestly, I'm able to relate to people and bring about a tearjerker if I needed, whatever I need. So if someone says, let's use who had gave me a crazy different concert that I had recently. Like, okay, so like the Heavy Anchor we were talking about earlier. That was totally weird, right? It was like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I only had like a couple of songs that I felt like what they could relate to. So at this time, I had like a self-written cover of the Kanye Power. I had the Kanye Power beat, right? And I wrote my own song to it, right? And I performed that there.
Yeah.
And what I said was, it was the name of the song called Boycott Radio. And what I said in that song is like, I'm talking about like how hip hop is ran by the people at the top who don't give a damn about our communities, and the rappers are falling in line, and the consumers are buying it. And I'm talking about everything that's going on, but the way I wrote it, it was so high energy, where that's something that I knew that a crowd of white folks could understand, because a lot of people feel restricted in so many ways, and this was my way of saying how I felt restricted and how what this, and revealing to someone things that they might not know, and they appreciated that. And so, especially like for color folk, the joints on for color folk, Black Bodies, Pigs, where I'm just like FTP throughout like half the song, right? They love those types of songs because they're rebellious, they're militant. And we talking about like marketing myself to like the punk crowd, the juggalo crowd, like people who don't give a shit, right? And that works with them.
Yeah.
You know, the hippie crowd, it works with them, you know? So I wouldn't go to them and rap Suge Knight, two totally different kind of songs, you know? So I got a catalog. That's another suggestion. People should just write catalogs for different demographics. I have a catalog for if I perform with these types of people, like a mixed crowd, or if it's majority white, or if it's, and I have one for if it's like more of a conscious scene where it's a lot of black folks who are like super pro-black and like always like, yeah, fist in the air type black. Like I got something for that, and then I got something for older people, like people who love hip hop and like just like appreciate lyricism but don't want to hear about all the other bullshit, you know?
Right.
I write for them too. Like I don't have very much for kids, but if I did, it'd be like the Dada song. Like, Dada song.
I love that. Now we just have to have like a kid-friendly event. And be like, and give it up for Babe.
It's so weird. I did a kid event last summer. Well, it was kids in the crowd. They were like, yeah, it's going to be kids in the crowd. I'm like, yeah, thanks for telling me that today. So I'm like, okay, Dada song. What else do I have?
That is the best thing.
Yeah, so like some inspirational stuff like Feeling Alive, I do for that. Like, I might spit an acapella, you know, it all depends. I learned my lesson after Cinco de Mayo, and I couldn't curse, and I didn't know.
Oh.
This was like 3 or 4 years ago, and whew. Ooh, the crowd loved it though. They were with me all the way, but man, the people that ran it did not like that. They were like, "Yeah."
I had an episode about censorship. This was I don't know if you know JB Buchanan. He's a comedian. Yeah. So he was like, "Hey," he's like a good friend of mine. He's like, I have a great idea for Casually Molly. And I'm like, yeah, like, cause I'm like, we're friends. I'm like, what do you think? He's like, how about like Casually Censored? And we had a whole like 45-minute to an hour conversation about censorship and how like certain venues run certain things. And like, mostly I'm a clean comedian, but there's definitely times where like, I mean, I say fuck a lot, and I'll be honest, it comes out. Like, I'll even like when I'm at my desk, I'm just like, and I say it, and I'm like, oh, this is so unprofessional. But and it used to happen a lot in my sets too, and I had to kind of like go through that. But there's definitely, you know, sometimes it's so funny. I did, it was a fundraiser actually for a vegan group, and it was like, you know, a lot of like older, like I was about to say like African American mostly in the vegan group, and they were like Sunday churchgoers, and I went to a gospel church growing up.
How are both of those together at once?
Right. They were like, it's like a church vegan group, and I was like, okay. And they said, do only clean comedy. You're the host. And then I remember I was hosting, and I was like, and this fucking shit or something, it just came out. And I was it was something I wanted my joke, and the whole room busted out laughing. I said, I am so sorry if I just offended anybody who's a vegan or like went to church this morning on the Lord's Day.
That's how you do it.
But they were all so nice. They were all, what was great, because then I had 3 guys after me. It was Chris Sear is another one, Larry Green, you know him. Just a bunch of like local comedians that are here in this scene. They had some really great stuff, even though they didn't say like fuck or anything like that. But it was great because I was like, okay, cool. So I kind of just like started out the road.
Right.
Like, all right, well, if Molly's saying this, like it's fine. But it does happen where you're like, oops, but nobody was mad at me at the venue. But it like I was like, so sorry to everybody here. And the guy who was part of the group was like, oh, it's fine. Like, you're very nice and it's no big deal. But we did, JB and I did talk about that, where it's just like, well, where you draw the line. And of course, you name off people like Dave Chappelle or like I hadn't seen his special at the time, so I couldn't comment on it. But we did talk about like Michelle Wolf at the White House dinner. And I was like, I think that was my equivalent to it. Where I was like, well, I can't speak on Dave Chappelle's behalf, which I didn't really have an issue with his special. So, I mean, that's how much I am on censorship. But I did talk about, I was like, oh, well, you know, like Michelle Wolf, like you have to do your research on people too sometimes. Like, you know, see like what their music is or what their comedy is. And everybody's like, oh, we're so offended. And I'm like, she never liked Donald Trump. So I understand.
That's probably why y'all booked her in the first place. I knew she was going to talk some stuff.
That's what I said. I was like, was this kind of like a publicity thing? You know, like, I don't know. But that's just me. But speaking of like I said, you are very, like I said, very talented. But I wanted to actually ask you about, there was something about you released a mixtape called 1990 Raw.
Yes.
Can you tell? I just don't know anything about it. So can you tell me a little bit about it? Yeah.
So 1990 Raw is all on 90s beats.
Okay.
All the beats are from very popular charting songs from the 90s.
Okay.
So I opened up that with this song called Welcome to St. Louis to Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It.
Oh, okay. See, I saw that. This is how we do.
Some of them I stuck with the style. Like, like that one I stuck with the style on the hook. But on the verses, I'm like, I'm from the show me, we only about that action. Hard to see it and make it, especially if you a rapper. Like, and I'm talking about a bunch of different things that go on in St. Louis. And then, like, I got this song with what's one of the popular ones? You know the song by Erykah Badu. Well, the Roots featuring Erykah Badu. Mm-hmm. If you were worried about where I've been or who I saw.
I was about to say, we don't need to hear me
Baby,
sing. I already sang Montel Jordan, and that was enough.
But it's called You Got Me, and that song is one of my favorite, like, duos. Like, my favorite song one of my favorite songs I've ever heard a female feature on. Like, it was, like, mind-blowing to me. I loved that song when it first came out. I was like, who are these people? But I did one called She's Not Dead, and that song is about hip-hop.
Okay.
And I was talking about, it was in response to not saying hip hop was dead, but in the song, hip hop is my girlfriend. Like, and we grew up together.
Nice.
And it's one line in there where I say, we from the cardboard boxes where boxes resemble freedom. The corner of the projects that the carcasses rot and bleed in. I remember in the backdrop when King Rodney had took a beating. And it was I'm talking about like these memories that me and hip hop have together. Like, it's one point where I'm talking about how the mother make you cut a turn. I was like, the mother maybe said the music was too loud, and it made it seem like I was sneaking the girl over and the music's too loud, but really it's the hip hop is the music, it is the girlfriend, right? So that. It's definitely one of my favorites. That was featuring Courtney Nicole as well. I got one on there to Busta Rhymes is Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See.
Oh, yeah. I can't see. That's why I was like, because I obviously love 90s music. So I wrote it down. I was like, oh my God, she has a mixtape. Where can I find it?
It's on SoundCloud free too. I released that like a week before I released my album.
Oh my God.
It was a shocker. It was like, bloop. And I just dropped it on them and like, yep, the album coming out in a week.
Oh my God. What a great idea.
That one was like, the one with Busta is like, I used his style on that one. Like, I mimicked his style, but with totally different words, you know. And his song, he's like, hit you with no delaying, so what you saying, yo? Silly with the mind, Millie with the dilly, yo. While I be on the mic as I do my duty, yo. While I'm in the cut, you be robbing the studio, something like that. And I say, money made of paper. I'm trying to get the bag, put myself in places where people don't even ask questions about ability or if I get a chance. When they see me coming, they fearing me in advance. Like, that's how I came with it. Like, totally different words, but totally different message, but like
in the same like music.
In the same like same rhythm, same cadence as Busta did that one. So it all depends on what the song is. Some of them are totally different, like, but it's just the beat. But then those couple of ones are like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, see,
You'll
now
love
I know.
it.
Are you kidding me? Do you understand? The first thing I'm gonna do? Well, I do have to like get some stuff out of the dryer. But once that's done, I'm putting on my free mixtape.
Yeah, you put it on the laundry. First the laundry. You know, I got drawers in there. I
got literally. I was like, I have my underwear in there. So.
Oh my God. Speaking of drawers, okay, I got a question. So last night, right? This is when I took one puff of some really good weed. Okay, I don't smoke.
Good for you.
It's one puff. It was only one puff.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I said to myself, "Self." I got off the couch. I said, "Hold on, because this is making sense." I was like, "Why is it that panties, briefs, boxers, drawers, even the dun-dun-duns are all plural? It's only one of them." And then my girlfriend, she say, "Because it's two legs." I said, "So if I had one leg, it'd be panty, brief, boxer, dun-dun-dun." I was like, yeah, I didn't hit the weed. We're tripping. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I got up like, hold on. Oh, right? Had a revelation. And somebody commented. I posted it on Facebook. Because this is a real question. Right? This is traumatic for me. Like, why is this plural? So, like, this is totally be singular. I posted on Facebook, and the first person to comment said, "Go to bed, Bates." I'm like, you know what? You're right.
You're right.
But after I picked this apart just a little bit more.
But that's what happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I don't even, like, really, I don't even smoke that much at all. I just had a podcast that I was on when, like, the lockdown was going on. And I talked about my early 20s when I had, like, an edible and all the fun things that happened. I was like, man, I am not that fun anymore. But I feel the same way you do. Like, I would wake up and I'm like, oh, you know, why is this plural? Like, what is it? And it's so funny because she'll write these things out. Like, is anybody listening to me? And people are like, why are you awake thinking about this? And you're like, this is, I mean, has no one thought about this but me?
Like, why is it plural? Like, it was perplexing. I was like, and then I went through all the underwear. But it's not underwears.
Right.
See, this is why I feel like they're fucking with me, man. It's the English language, man. It's the English language.
It really is.
From here on out, I'm putting on my boxer and my panty. I am no longer submitting to your plurals. Unnecessary plurals. I gotta have one leg to wear a panty. Okay, yeah.
Well, it's just like when I remember when I was like I was little, and one of my teachers one time was like, you know, when you say I'm getting my hair cut, it's that's not correct. And I remember being little because everybody's like, what? So of course, like me being me, I was like, so what is the correct answer? And this lady goes, it's hairs cut. And I'm like, no, I am never saying I'm getting my hairs cut. I'm not
Is that the possessive form of hair? So my hairs need a cut, so I'm going to get those. Like, this is how long I was sitting on the toilet thinking about this yesterday. This is how I felt about panties.
With my 2 legs.
Looking down on my kneecaps like, yeah, no more of these shenanigans. No more of this shenanigan.
I feel like, if anything that people get out of this episode is like, listen to Bates. Also, don't submit to any plurals that you really don't feel like you want to submit to.
Period.
Because then the Riverfront Times will be like, no sugarcoating.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's all good.
Yeah. No plurals.
Oh my God, that is the best. I'm definitely using that clip to promote this episode. I don't
Good.
know.
Because I'm like, yeah, speaking of.
Speaking of,
Patsy.
actually. don't even know how we got there.
I don't either. I lost it. I was like,
I just love, was it your girlfriend that was like, oh, it's because you have 2 legs?
I was like, so.
Which maybe is the reason.
First, I was getting ready to be combative, right? And I was getting ready to say, well, pants, you only put on one pan. It's not putting on your pant. And then I went down the spiral of like, well, maybe they did it because it's pant. And pant is also breathing heavily after running 3 blocks. And pant is also, and I went down all these like synonyms and antonyms and homonyms. And then I said, you know what though? You right. I gotta add this to my Facebook post. I went back and edited it and added in like, so if I had one leg.
And did the same person say, go to bad things?
Somebody totally different, which is even worse. This is like, yeah, I've outdone myself tonight. Like, yeah, I need to go to sleep.
Oh my God, that's how I feel. I was watching, I like watch such trash. I was watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta last night because
Yeah.
I was catching up on it. I'm like, so I'm so far behind because like, you know how it is, you get busy. So like, when are you
Right.
so I don't know, I'm just watching like all this shit just go down. And I'm getting like so into it. And I understand. You just start thinking of these thoughts and I'm like, I'm not even on the show. And I'm like, well, you know, maybe if this happened, if Candy did this, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even know her. Like, I'm like,
First of all, you need to write your own show. you need to be your own Candy because clearly you got a whole entire agenda for this lady. You need to be her agent.
I do love Candy. Candy Coated Nights, man. But I will. Great segue for this last question here.
Okay.
But so you are a St. Louis native. You are very proud of it. You speak about it all the time. So let's talk about that for a second. Why St. Louis?
That's a good question. Why St. Louis? Like, why? Like, Jesus. And I'd have been born in any other place. Nova Scotia. Anywhere. Like, it would be easier for me.
Nova Scotia.
But gosh, I have to like sit here like, oh, St. Louis is tough. St. Louis is tough. It's like, I love where it's gotten to. Right before COVID hit, it was becoming, and I think it's getting ready to be like a big like avalanche of like wanting to see live shows, right? So it's getting ready to be great for us as soon as everything goes back to regular, right?
Right.
But St. Louis is tough, especially for hip hop, you know. A lot of the artists are not getting paid like to perform at all. Like, it's a lot of promoters and people taking advantage of artists, and hip hop is really tough. Like, a lot of paperwork don't be done right, and when it is done right, like you're lucky, But it's kind of like being in it for so long. At this point, I've experienced some of the greats and some of the worst at the same time. So I've got I've had the opportunity to be like with the Juggalo crowd and from St. Louis, and at the same time like dealing with very like high up people, like people big money and big bank, So it's I think the oddness of St. Louis and how it's so rogue and so unlike everybody else is what makes me love this city so much. It's tough to break as an artist here because we don't have an industry here for us. We don't have any major record labels. We don't have anybody coming to check for us. They steal from us, actually. But it's not like a situation to where I feel like I can get out, especially in social media times. These are social media times anyway. It doesn't matter where you live. It matters where you promote yourself, where you market yourself, and if you can make a live performance there. That's all that matters. Like, City of Demons is doing way more numbers in South Africa than it's doing in St. Louis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My debut, it got 40,000 something views in South Africa. And St. Louis, it was sitting like 4,000, But South Africa's South Africa.
Yeah.
They appreciate that.
Yeah.
They don't see many people who look like me who do what I do in South Africa, to the point where when people, my fans from there are just like, if you ever come here, like, you are going to kill. Like, I'm like, well, I'm just keep on pushing my music there, and I'll get there eventually,
Yeah.
But, like, it's just amazing to see, like, like it's amazing to be able to push myself outside of St. Louis while at the same time still living here. Because most people, they pack up and leave and go to Atlanta. We haven't seen one St. Louis artist that moved to Atlanta. It's like almost all of them did at one point blow up from Atlanta. You got a whole nother market you got to compete in. You got to start from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, it's only been a couple of us that have left St. Louis that ever did Smino, Ty Dolla $ign. You know, we don't have many artists that left St. Louis and succeeded.
Right.
And we try to do it in other people's communities, but they got their own communities to deal with. What make you think they're getting ready to jump past all of them just for you? You know, you might be around more people, so that's something you take the trip for. You know, go down there and stay for a couple weeks. You know, do that every few months.
Right.
But for me to have to relocate, no, I'm all St. Louis all day. I know what they're capable of, but sometimes it's like really horrible, y'all. But at the same time, you know, at the same time, like I'm familiar with it. So, like honestly, a lot of my bag comes from out of town. So, like when I tour, they pay me more for hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, especially like colleges and shit like that. Like here, it's hard to get the colleges here to book a hip hop artist that's like actually doing some stuff. You know. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
Like, considering, like, the only genre of music that's popping right now is the artists that made it from here or hip-hop. It's all, like, y'all would be more focused on your hip-hop artists if you knew that the greats were being born from here, right? They're coming from here, and they're leaving from here. They're running from here. They're producing for people in the backdrop. They're writing songs for people in the cut. You going on TV and you seeing them, you hearing them in the background of your commercials, but like they don't. I just don't feel like they value us, especially in the hip hop community, as far as like getting black folks to come out to hip hop concerts. Now, if it's like somebody they don't know, ain't dropped the album in forever, come to St. Louis, promoter puts them on, they pack the house for them, spend $40, $50, can't find parking. Drink stupid high. You can come out, see a dope live show where we're not rapping over our own music. You're not rapping a song for us. We got bands. We got so much going on. Like, and we can't get y'all to come out for $10. Like, and that's part of the issue that, like, that's part of the plight of the hip-hop artists from St. Louis. So, I mean, it has its great parts because we have a huge community of people, and I've been blessed to be able to spend so much time with so many of them where I see how great of a thing we have. Like, it's beautiful. It's just we don't have opportunity. So we have to create it for ourselves, which makes us the dopest, though, because in other cities, you don't have a hip-hop community like ours.
Right.
No. Everybody's an individual everywhere else. Here, we actually we know to go on Cherokee for this. We know to go to RIP, the Monaco. We know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the different places to enjoy ourselves, you know, and find a good hip-hop show. But as far as I feel like once this pandemic is over, we're going to rock.
Oh, I have no doubt. Like I said, you've already been, I mean, that's one of the things that I admire about you is I do think that like you've been paving the way for, you know, other artists to be successful. So thank you for that. And then what's really great is that you've been able to share your story with me. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your, like I said, I know you're like, oh, I'm not, you know, but you are. I know you're in Demand Baits. So, I mean.
I do stuff.
She's
but
like.
You know, I'm just thankful that people are still asking me to do stuff.
Well, so here's what's so funny. So, like I said, I wanted to ask you on, I was already kind of just booked, and my boyfriend runs the Day at Night podcast.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, this is like, you know, a random question. You never know with him what that means. So I was like, what's going on? And he's like, do you know like any female rappers that I can just put at the end? And like, you know that you're doing a good job when I'm sitting there in my pajamas with like a tea on a rainy night. And I'm like, Bates. It was like the first name I thought of. Like, not that, you know, I'm anybody special, but the point is this.
But clearly I am.
Yeah, clearly she is, because if I, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure there's so many other talented people. And like, maybe after this, we can talk about like some guests who you think might be great for this. But at the end of the day, like just the fact that like you're inspiring people, like even just me, who's just, you know, like just some comedian trying to figure out her life, you know, like I was just like, that's
trying
awesome.
to change her laundry load.
Trying to change my laundry load.
Trying to change her laundry, man. Trying to do white clothes, trying to separate the whites from the colors.
I've been doing really good at that, okay?
Permanent press.
And I'm just like not submitting to those plurals. But it was just like, and that's what I said to Jimmy. I was like, that is so cool that, you know, you like the fact that you just have such an impact on people. Like, I just really admire that. And I'm just, I can't wait to see you perform again. I mean, I kind of got a little bit, you know.
Man, I don't even have any potential dates until December 5th. Like, I don't know if they're gonna have. I'm actually being honored. Like, it's a award show called the Yours Awards. It's 2 years running.
Wow. Okay.
And they're recognizing me for the longevity award.
Nice.
And when they said that, I was like, "Is y'all trying to say I'm getting old?" Cause like, hold on, like, bro, I almost dropped a little thug turd.
That is the best thing.
Like, hold on, man.
I was going to say, you're not that old.
Nah, I'm not gonna say how old I am ever now.
Yeah,
Shoot.
right.
I'm never gonna say it. Shoot.
That is the best thing ever. Well.
So yeah, I think that's November 7th. At Medici. So
Ooh.
I get to like go.
Well, congratulations,
They did an
I guess,
interview
on your
last week.
longevity award.
Oh, Jesus. I was like, oh my God. They asked me questions of how you tell artists how you keep it going for so long. I'm like, bro, y'all didn't even know me other 5 years ago. But I guess they did their research. But really, what it is that the girl, she told on me because the girl is the dude that runs the show, and his girl, she knows me as a kid. So she been knowing how long I've been rapping my entire life. I've been rapping my whole life. So yeah, she's like, yeah, you know, Bates really deserved that longevity award because she been consistent all this time, and you know, I knew her before she was Bates. Like, Jesus. Shut up. But no, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
Oh, I'm
very
glad.
grateful.
Well, speaking of places of, you know, now that we know you as Bates, where can we find you on social media? What would you like us to follow so that way for people who have been watching or listening, how can they get to know you a little bit better and the work that you produce?
Absolutely, man. First of all, let me drop that Cash App. No, really.
You can.
but yeah, it's Bates_STL on Instagram. It's Bates STL anywhere. If you Google me, I'll pop up more than likely first or second because it is a street here named Bates. But if you type in Bates rapper Bates STL and you Google,
that's what I had to do. Yeah, because there was a street, and I was like, "Why am I on Bates Street?"
Yeah, that's not where my name came from, people. But yeah, that and like Facebook, the page says Bates, but like the handle for that is Bates STL. Cash App if anybody wants to send money because yeah, we can't perform, or if you want to buy some merch and you got to reach my Cash App for whatever reason, it's at it's $ Bates STL. That's BATES STL. And honestly, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on all my social platforms.
Fantastic.
Just do the stuff.
I love it. And just remember, I always keep hitting this wire. I do it all the time. You can just casually subscribe to the Casually Molly podcast. We have episodes every week, and you can look them up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can even just stream them on audio, you name it. But we are partnering up with Bates for the next month. You're going to hear some music from her, including her new single. But one of my favorite songs from Bates is how we're going to end out this episode. We talked about you not sugarcoating and, you know, like always being honest, which is why I love this next song that we're going to end out on. It is called Sorry, Not Sorry. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Yeah. What's understood don't even have to be explained, my nigga. Yeah. I love y'all. I love y'all. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Trying to find peace, been through a lot, guess I expected too much. A cruel world tells you your best is less and it's never enough. I think I lost a couple homies, cause they ain't acting the same. Unpacking my shame while standing in the dirt on my name. A soul bruised, being abused, I kept it quiet and sunk. Nobody heard me yell for help, but I screamed at the top of my lungs. Till disappeared on a nigga, then freaky called and hung up. was heard but these walls. But I just left a lot of shit that never got a resolve. I love my niggas, so I'm still gonna be right there when they call. Wondering if God trying to get through to me. Mixed signals keep confusing me. They checking for your girl, but I ain't ready for them choosing me. This could've ended beautifully, could've went about it suitably. But soon you'll see the gruesome things you'll do to me, do to me. And everybody cool with it, I guess they say it's hard knocks. I lost the light inside my eyes. Yeah, I was in pure shock. Imagine everything you love cruising first, then hit a hard stop. I was angry, like the whole world could suck a dick. I'm talking all cops, like why I gotta lose it all again? Just regain from the fall, like why I gotta be the chosen one? Yes, I was mad at God, mad that I lost it all again, mad that I raised another kid, mad that my woman didn't love me, mad to go through all this shit, mad that I needed a place to stay, mad that nobody had shit to say, mad that my Christmas was some shit, mad that my homies was MIA. Thank you for True for giving me peace. Thank you for Kristen and GA. Thank you for Cornbread and Alan Gates. Thank you for Christian Will K. Thank you for everyone who listened and let me cry on their shoulder. Thank you for the people who pushed me forward when I said it was